We've been through a very interesting graph today, starting with dialogues on the opportunities and challenges that face the country today, covering themes such as demonetization, gender-based violence, social enterprise, and freedom of speech. And we would like to end today with something that has been a cornerstone of our society and culture. Any guesses what that is? Spot on, movies. Nothing inspires us more than movies. Nothing empowers us more than movies. And I think no one will contest that Mr. Madhavan has been a fantastic ambassador of art and movies in India. He's been one of the few actors to make the journey from the south to the north and nurture a pan-India appeal. Let me tell you something that will shock you. He's appeared in over 75 films in 7 languages. I repeat that, 75 films in 7 languages. Bravo. Including his cult classics, Rang De Basanti, 3 Idiots, and Guru. He's won 2 Filmfare Awards and has dabbled in writing and film production as well. Recently, very importantly and critically, he's been noted for his philanthropic activities and promotion of various causes such as environment, health, and education. He is particularly vocal about the protection of animals and was awarded PETA's Person of the Year recognition in 2012. Welcome, sir. As moderator, we have our very own Ms. Sushma Raman, Executive Director of the Carr Center of Human Rights at the Harvard Kennedy School. Sushma brings a rich and diverse background in philanthropy, human rights, and social justice through her work in the US and globally with the Ford Foundation and the Open Society Foundations, as well as her experience in leading human rights programs, philanthropic collaboratives, and social justice foundations. Sushma has been an adjunct lecturer in public policy at the Kennedy School for the past 2 years after graduating from the mid-career program in 2013, where she was awarded the Lucius N. Littar Fellowship in recognition of her academic achievements and stellar leadership in the HKS community. She's also been a long supporter of the India Conference, and Ms. Raman, we are so grateful that you're here. As a vegetarian myself, someone who believes in the ethical treatment of animals, as a Tamilian, and most importantly, as a proud Indian, I think I can tell my grandchildren, my future generations, that I had the privilege to introduce Mr. Madhavan and Mrs. Sushma Raman. Without any further ado, let's get started and ask Maddie anything, just about anything.
Thank you so much. I almost didn't recognize myself in that introduction. I will say I've heard several people, including our esteemed guest today, say, oh, I'm at Harvard, and somehow feeling a sense of honor to be here. And I have to say that the people who I know who have known the most about social issues, about public policy problems, about solutions, are those who are closest to the ground. People I've met in villages in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, all over. So yes, there are a lot of smart people at Harvard, but I have to say the people I've met with the most innovation, the most creativity, are often those, the grassroots leaders that we heard Ms. Kalki talk about, Megan talk about, and we're honored to have you here, so thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the format for today. We're going to, I know this is the last session, And this is what separates you from having a dinner or the evening off.
They know.
This is a sign. So I'm going to ask a few opening questions, and then we're going to open it up to the audience. I would love for us not to have parallel conversations. It's really hard to hear, both for the speakers as well as for others in the audience. We're going to take folks at the different mics, and we would ask that your question be phrased as a question with a question mark at the end. So it's not a long statement. It's not a profession of your beliefs, values, film interests. It's really a question. In the interest of time, we have very little time this evening. So I will say vanakkam.
Thank you.
Welcome. I think I got selected for this because I'm probably the one who's least starstruck at the Harvard Kennedy School, it seems. Or maybe it's because I'm the only Tamilian here, or the only vegetarian. So we heard in the introduction you've been described as an actor with Pan-Indian appeal. In fact, I've seen your followers on Twitter from the Philippines. You have 1.83 million followers, probably many hundred more after this evening. So tell us a little bit about how you arrived here. What was your journey? We heard such inspiring journeys earlier this evening through the Inspire series and even from Rajat Sharma and others. So share a little snapshot as to how you became this amazing actor, versatile, who has really flourished both in the South and the North. Yeah.
Money. Yeah. That's why. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this honor. I believe we're being telecast live. People are watching at home. I'm sure mom is watching me at Harvard, thinking I could have done much better for a wife than the one I have. But hey, no, I'm the luckiest man. The strange bit is that I never wanted to be an actor. I have always thought that I would live the dream that my parents had for me, be an engineer, get into IIT, IIM, and then either go abroad or like good Tambram, come and join the Tata companies and live in the same house that my father lived in. And at a very young age, I knew that I knew what I didn't want to be. And I knew that I didn't want to be an engineer who would do a job day in and day out, 9 to 5, the same place, because I would probably end up killing somebody. So I told my dad that. I said, I'm not going to be an actor. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be an engineer. I know I don't want to be an engineer. I do not know what I want to be. And it was, I think, destiny that made me into an actor, because I studied electronics, master's in advertising and public relations. And I was conducting classes on public speaking and communication skills. And I was actually walking down the streets in Bombay when somebody met me. And I was just out of NCC, which means really short hair. And I was walking down the street, and this guy came and said, hey, I'm doing a series. It's a love story. Would you like to act in it? And I said, how much money will you pay me? Because I didn't fancy myself as an actor. I didn't look at it as an opportunity. And he said, I'm giving you a break, so no money for you. I said, I don't need the job. So he said, no, I'm very serious. We're doing this series called You Love Stories. And we're playing, it's a love story between a convict and a blind girl. So I said, what do you want me to play? He said, I want you to play the convict. I said, why? He said, you look like one. I said, fair enough. How much money will you pay me? He said, okay, well, I'll give you nominals. I'll give you 2,000 rupees a night. It's 2,000 rupees a night. What do you have in mind, my friend? And he said, no, we're shooting at night. And so that's what he was offering me. That's how it started. So, if I was to, people keep calling me to college and say, please tell us how to guide people into becoming part of this industry. And I can tell you my story is not one to go by at all. Because I was doing that series, I had no idea about acting. He said, come and stand there. I stood there. They put some makeup on my face. They said, wear these clothes. Then they said, look at that place and say this line. I said, fine. They said, go there and hug the girl. I said, gladly, did that, everything. And then somebody came to wish that director all the best. Then he said, who's this guy? And he said, some weird guy. He speaks strange English and strange Hindi. And they looked at me and said, do you want to be a part of another series called Banegi Apni Baat? I said, okay, how much will you pay me? So it's exactly how it started. And then lo and behold, after 1 year, I suddenly realized people were writing about me as an actor. I was getting jobs after jobs. I never went to a producer's office. It was just meant to be destiny. And finally, I got a call from Mr. Mani Ratnam, the most proficient, I think, phenomenal director that India produced, and I got to play a main lead in his film, and that film became a blockbuster, and here I am.
Amazing. So earlier today, I realized that our esteemed finance professor Akash Deep at Harvard and you grew up together.
Yeah, chadi yaars.
In Jamshedpur, and heard a little bit about some of the antics. And so I'm wondering, sort of, when you were 9 in Jamshedpur, you didn't want to be an engineer, and you didn't know about being an actor. What were you thinking? What was your...
When I was 9?
Yeah.
I was just thinking of catching
15.
tadpoles. I didn't have a plan in life. I was just... I think Akash Deep would agree, we had one of the best childhoods that you can imagine when we lived in a small city called Jamshedpur, with every facility available to, we could play kancha, fly kites, we could, catch tadpoles, at the same time had computers at our disposal. Tata was a very Victorian sort of English kind of a place. So we were exposed to all gambit of experiences there as youngsters, and I think half the reason we are what we are today is because of Jamshedpur. To a great extent.
Wonderful. So, given the sort of the range of movies you've been in, you've been a brand ambassador, you've written, you've directed, what's the professional accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Now that's a Harvard question, okay.
But it's a soft question, it's not challenging.
I haven't been asked that one before. I think the fact that most people don't understand what it takes to be part of the film industry, the fact that the only measure of success of being a part of at least the Indian film industry is the longevity. I think the biggest success, therefore, is somebody like Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, who continues to be relevant at the age of 75 after being in the industry for almost 40 years. I think as far as my accomplishment is concerned, for those people who joined the industry at the time that I was in, and in 15 years from now, still being able to do the kind of films that I want to, still being able to put my foot down and spearhead the subjects and stories that I want to tell is my biggest accomplishment. And I think, finally, and I think I was waiting for that to happen, it's really.
Oh, mine's gone.
Yeah. So, and also to be relevant, also to be able to be the alpha male on the set after so many years and doing different varieties of films is one of the biggest assets that I have going for me.
And have you ever had failures, disappointments, challenges?
Oh yeah.
Because from the outside, people don't always see that.
Yes, of course. I mean, it is. I think the film industry is the only industry in the world where the industry decides whether you can be part of it or not. All other businesses you can choose to be part of it, but this creative film industry, you could be the son of the most handsome star, most good-looking heroine, or you could be from the most elitist film family, and you'll still not be accepted by the public. So there is a certain magic that only happens to a few and very few, and I think that is one of the things that makes it so unique. And I think all my life I've been prepared to for this particular job that I hold right now. I mean, I had a gambit of professions before I became an actor. I was, I was with the defense for a while. I was teaching. I was an engineer. I lived with cowboys in Canada for a year as an exchange student. I had all sorts of experiences. And then finally, when I got those roles, I was able to withdraw from these experiences. And how many of you all are here from Bombay? Oh, okay. How many of you all have been to Bombay? Same number of people? How many? Okay, you know what? Let's lighten this up. Let me tell you a few things about Bombay that you must know, if I have your permission,
Absolutely.
right? How many of you have actually traveled by train in Bombay? All of that. There you go. Perfect. So you know that what I'm telling you is the truth. So in Bombay, when you travel by these trains, you're packed tighter than sardines in a can. It's tight. It's so tight that when you're holding your hand up for support, and it's sweaty, there's no air conditions in the compartment, and it's really sweaty and you're sweating through your nose, you need to seek the permission of the guy standing in front of you to put your hand in your own pocket to take out a kerchief. So you'll probably be holding it there, and it's least that he thinks that you're feeling him up, you just take it out, and you wipe your face, and then you take his permission again to put it back. This is normal. So in Bombay, which side a particular station comes is anybody's guess if you're new to Bombay. Right? So, you out of years of practice, you realize you can never actually figure that out. And when it's crowded, it's frighteningly crowded. A friend of mine decided to come and visit me from Punjab, Parminder Singh. And he said, "Yaar, Maddie, aa raha hu. How many of y'all get Hindi at all here? Anybody speaks? All of you, right? So, well, let me just stick to English to keep it easy." So he said, "I'm coming to Bombay, I need to come and visit you." I said, "Great, come on in." And he came down to Victoria Station, which is the terminal. And then from there, they take the train to different parts of Bombay, the south, the east, the north. And each track, each particular route is divided into the main stations and the small stations in between. And there is this fast train that will only stop in the main stations. So I was trying to explain to him, I said, you catch the train from Victoria, go to Andheri and Borivali. This is a fast track, so make sure that you take the slow train and come to Vile Parle, which is between Andheri and Borivali, and get off at that small station. So he said, yeah. And he's really nervous. He's coming to Bombay for the first time. Everybody looks like somebody who's going to mug him. He's really frightened, a little nervous. So he's got this bag and he's in the train. And he, as expected, takes the wrong train. So he's taken the fast train that's not going to stop between Andheri and Borivali. But he's already flabbergasted because everybody's advising him. They're very friendly. So in Bombay, you have to be very careful about who you take help from because it's an extremely helpful city, very helpful. So once he's in the train, he said, "Bhai, I have to get off at Vile Parle. Which side do I stand?" He said, "Vile Parle? This train's not going to stop. He's going to stop in Andheri, and then you have to go for 1 more hour, and then come back for 1 more hour because you've got onto the wrong train." So he says, "Now, what do I do? It's already 11 o'clock in the evening." So they said, there's one chance. There is some construction going on between the two stations. So on the Vile Parle side, the train's going to slow down on the left-hand side of the compartment. So when the train slows down, just jump off the train. Now this very nervous friend of mine already is like, "Are you sure it's okay to jump out?" And all? He said, "Yeah, I have no other choice because if the train goes to the end, it'll take you another 2 hours, and Bombay is dangerous at night. People are having fun at his expense." So now he's got his bag, he's worn it tight around, and they said, then everybody's telling him, "Listen, when you jump off the train, make sure you run in the direction of the train, or else you'll fall on your face and then you'll hurt yourself." So now he's even more nervous. So he said, "Acha. What do I?" Then they said, "Hang on to the side, and as soon as the train comes to Vile Parle, goes really slow, we'll tell you, jump and run." He said, "Okay." So now he's taken all the God's names that he knows. He's standing by the doorway, and sure enough, the train slows down at Vile Parle, comes in like plum, really slow because of the construction. And the guy said, "Are you ready?" He said, Yeah. And they said, "Jump and run." So this guy got off the train, started running really hard. And like, "Yeah, okay, good." And he started running so hard, the train actually slowed down quite a bit. And now he's running slightly faster than the train. And the people in the front gate, they look at him as, "Acha." They're calling him, right? So this guy doesn't know what's happening. He thought maybe a dog, he started running. So they caught hold of his hand and put him back into the train. I saw him the next day at 9 o'clock. That's helpful Bombay for you. So, you have to be very careful who you take assistance from in Bombay. And that's a hint of how the city functions for you.
We don't have to ask you any questions. You can just tell us stories. I think that would be terrific.
Fine.
But I actually have a serious question.
Okay.
Because we heard earlier that you are a vegetarian and you're a PETA brand ambassador. And for people who follow the news, you know that Jallikattu has been in the news. And everybody I know from the South has a very strong point of view. They're either pro or anti. So I wanted to get your point of view on this. Is this culture? Is it cruelty? Is it something? Is there a middle ground? What are your thoughts as someone who's obviously involved with PETA and
Right. So I've been given the boot a lot because I was part of PETA, and I just want to clarify my stand on that. Even before PETA, I was a pet lover. I loved animals. We are a family that adores animals. We're vegetarians because of that, and also because of our culture. Now, I always have advocated the humane treatment of animals, and I really think that we as humans can learn a lot more from animals how to be humans, and that is the thing that even my son does. So to be crucified because we're part of an organization, I think was unfair. Just to say that I supported everything that is cultural about our country, and culture is not just something that gives you an identity. the culture and tradition, and I believe this, I'm going to speak about it tomorrow. I really feel that most people think that cultural identity and the fact that you hold your traditions gives you, an identity and makes you feel more evolved. More than that, in today's world, it is an extraordinary survival tool. It's an extraordinary survival method for you to handle the pressures and failures that is inevitable in today's profession. And you decide and you realize, you go back to it and understand, oh, this is how I need to pray, or this is how I need to speak to my family, and this is what the culture means when you say you have a setback. You go back to that and help yourself build up again. So I'm totally for anything that is cultural. And the only thing is, I think that the whole issue that happened with Jallikattu, and the way it kind of dissipated was because there were too many issues being addressed at the same time. They were saying, we're fighting for our cultures, we're fighting for our cows, we're fighting against PETA, we're fighting for, Tamil Nadu's tradition, everything. And I agree with all of that. But I just think that everything has to be regulated, and it has to be in a manner that is safe for everybody. And I also believe that they wanted to save the native cows, and which is a completely justified and a very just cause to fight, because our native cows have been actually exported off to other countries, and we're now subjected to this Holstein cow's milk, which is the casein A1 protein, which is actually proved to be carcinogenic for most people. And there's a big story to that. I can go back to all the technical details, but that is a true fact. And I think if it had been spearheaded properly, we would have achieved it. And now I'm just hoping that everything and order is restored back in Tamil Nadu.
So I'm going to ask you one last question and then move on to the audience. So, Rajat ji talked earlier about the importance of independent media. We heard about the role of NGOs and voluntary organizations in the Inspire series. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts about the role of people who are in the public eye, like yourselves, other actors, entertainers, artists? What do you see your role as in terms of creating a more pluralistic, tolerant public sphere? Is this something you think is really an individual choice, or do you see it as a responsibility?
So when social media first came in for actors like us, it was an option. Also be on Twitter, also be on Facebook. Now it's become a very essential tool. And it's also proven to be a complete boon and a bane. You have to know, I have known of careers, I've known of people whose life got ruined by one tweet, one irresponsible tweet, or one incorrect tweet. The thing is, unfortunately, ma'am, there is a lot of conspiracy theories for everything. What happens is when you say something, and then there are 10 people who give you an opposite opinion, and another 30 people who give you facts that look like facts. A classic example of which is how I was introduced today. And I will tell you what I mean by that. No, it is true. It's not his fault, but the classic example is...
The 7 languages?
Yes, the 7 languages and 13 films. One lady in one interview in Hyderabad asked me, do you know how many languages do you know? I said, I know 3 languages, Tamil, English, and Hindi. I can speak a spattering of Marathi. Oh, then you can do a film in all these 4 languages. Plus, because you're in Bihar, you could do... And her imagination was a small article where she said he could easily do films in 7 languages. That was picked up by every media possible. And the next thing I knew, I had done films in 7 languages and more than 75 films. My bank account doesn't say that. And it's not a fact. But there was one lady who asked that question, and that particular statement continues to be part of my biodata. Similarly, I think when you talk about the media, well, I'm sure they have their benefits, and there have been brickbats for them as well. But I know for a fact the eagerness to be the first one to report an unverified, unauthorized fact is so rampant that it tends to mislead the audience. And I'll tell you what is happening slowly. It's a clear and present danger in the country that and I'm telling you, you'll agree with me. Every time you have an opinion, talk to your parents back home or onto Facebook an opinion, they have saying, no, in Facebook, this is what has come out. And then my auntie will say, no, what is wrong with you? The way to do it is this, the conspiracy. The thing is, it's driving everybody to exhaustion. Secondly, there is no conviction on what they're reading. The trust on the media and the facts given to them has depleted to such a great extent that now people are bored of it. And then they get more exhausted with it, and finally, they just go to sleep on it. And I don't mean literally, I mean they became immune to it. Finally, they said, hey, Allah, better, I'll just forget about this. Tell me, am I getting my food properly? Is my son going to school? Everybody's healthy. To hell with it. And there's a disconnect that happens between what is really happening in the society, your social responsibility, and who you are as an individual, because you don't have the facts, right? So you take facts that are convenient to you. And that is why, that is the beginning of the destruction of the basic fabric of the society that we live in today. I really think that's going to be a problem. I really think that this is the beginning of the kind of chaos, and as Indians and as citizens of the world, we'll have to find a unique way in which we are able to regulate the right news and the right information so that the inferences drawn by that are good enough for you to take the right action.
Wow, lots to think about. We're going to turn it over to the audience to ask questions, and you have to go to the mic. There are a couple of mics around.
Or you can just yell it out, I can hear you.
Well, I think it's being recorded, so it has to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. He can be heard across.
Well, Mr. Luthra?
Okay, I can yell now. I hope everybody can hear me. So your role in Three Idiots is about this, what you described right now. Did they choose you for your story? That's one question. Second is, what is your end game?
Good. Oh, wow. Okay. I think, yes, I was about to. Thank you, gentlemen. I was going to say that. He asked me whether the reason I was selected for Three Idiots was because of who I was as a person. You mean as an idiot? Yeah.
He's transparent. I'm Chandi with Amir.
Okay.
I was with him last night.
Right. Okay.
In Dubai.
Right.
So
So,
that's why I'm asking.
yes. So, I really think that it was, I hit jackpot with that film. There was no reason for them to cast me. I think there were very talented actors in Hindi who could have done that role as well. But I was in Chennai, and for some reason, Rajkumar Hirani thought of calling me, and I'm not going to look at the gift horse in the mouth and wonder why, but it was right down my alley. I know I had that conversation with my father, so that script looked like it was going to be a blockbuster, and sure enough it was. The second question was, what is my end game? Strangely, for the past 3 weeks, I have been thinking exactly that. No, honestly, in all sincerity, I'm telling you, I was trying to define to myself what my idea of success was. And the more I thought about it, the more, or the less it involved money. And now I've come to a realization that it is just the ability to sit back and have the freedom to think what I want, do what I want, play my golf, and know that my family is safe and I'm providing the best possible education to my child. And then just live there without having to worry about all the stuff that I'm worrying about today. Every act of traveling, or my son going to school, or the fact that there is a problem with one political party, or, it really frightened me when Indira Gandhi was assassinated. And in 1 second, all the Sikhs around me, their lives were in danger. When they least, it was like a bolt from the blue for something that they'd never done. It was a mob mentality. It was something that happened all of a sudden, was a spontaneous sort of a combustion for them. And I said, I know we're a country of unity and diversity, but this is frightening. And I think my idea of success would be wanting to live in a place where that sort of a bolt doesn't hit you from the blue. And make sure that you contribute to a society like that and make that happen around you. That would be my end game.
So that means you never live in America, Trump.
Abraham Lincoln said that nobody from outside America can actually, this is actually his quote where he said, nobody from outside America can actually destroy America. If he were to fail and falter, then it is only because we destroyed ourselves. So.
Yes.
Hi, are you waving to me or you want to ask a question?
Well, this.
Yes.
Really good to have you here. I'm Pranav Abraham from Boston, born and raised in Bombay, so I totally connect with whatever you said. I miss it thoroughly every single day.
You're welcome to my sweat anytime you want.
But my question to you, because this panelist specifically asked Maddie anything, so I'll ask you, political question. don't you think the state of Tamil Nadu right now should be governed by a leader who has been elected by the people? What are your views on it? What's happening right now in Tamil Nadu?
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
hey, is there any doubt about it? Of course, it has to be ruled by people who are elected by the people, right? So constitutionally, one aspect of it is absolutely right. Morally, maybe it is questionable, but what do you choose? Do you choose to follow the Constitution, in which case what is happening is right? Or what do you do? I think can I just address the audience and you, yeah, okay. So I think the question here is, we are known to be a state who has sold our votes for biryani and a little bit of a drink. Well, not really, actually. It's just biryani and yeah. So now we're bearing the brunt for it, because if these are the people that you voted for and this is how they're going to react to a situation that we are in right now, then you know, it's very essential that we realize how and who we vote for and what we're getting in exchange for that. Absolutely.
Question here, sir.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Maddie. This is Shravan from Atlanta. My wife told me specifically to call you Maddie. So
Okay.
say hi from her. And the question is, you look humble, ground to earth, not...
Hey, I'm a good actor, man.
That's where I'm coming. Like, if I look into your eyes, or if I look at you, I can see that you're ground to earth, to be frank. So, but if your movies like you are, no one can replace you.
I can't hear you.
But in movies like Sakhi, Yuva, now the Kadus, how you can get into the skin so easily? Looks humble and ground to earth, very funny and humor. And it's not that easy to say or feel. As an IT engineer for the past 15 years, for me changing a platform is like, no, I'm going to stay here and settle down here, something like that. But really, we need to appreciate it. So how?
So the question, I think, if I can get you correctly, is that because I look amicable, it's how do I play all the wild guys and the bad guys that I play in the movies? I think that, honestly, everybody has a wild side to us, and we all know we do. We choose to let it out at times when nobody's looking at us, or when everybody's looking at us through the camera, for instance. For me, I was born and brought up in Bihar. Being amicable was one quality. Also, having the ability to turn back and bite right back to survive was another. Those instincts have been subdued for the longest time, but it's not left. So when we do movies, you actually withdraw from your real life experiences to do the things that you do. And that's part, because I'm not a trained actor, I don't even think I'm actually, honestly speaking, and not being humble here, I don't really think I'm such a good actor. I'm just a clever guy because I'm able to withdraw directly from my life and apply that to the characters that I'm playing. And therefore, I choose characters that I have been before at one point in my time, in my life or the other. So be it Three Idiots, be it Yuva, or be it Alaipayude, all those aspects have been a real part of me. So if I were to play a rocket scientist tomorrow, I don't know how I'll do it.
Right
Yeah.
there?
Hi.
I'm sharing the feeling of awesomeness like everyone here to have you today. I'm
Thank you.
Karthikeyan Ramu. Thank you for supporting Jallikattu, being part of PETA. In Harvard, Department of South Asian Studies provide regular instruction on a variety of South Asian languages like Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit, and so on. South Asia, as it emerges as global cultural, economic, and political power, a study of this language also essential for developing a critical understanding of the diverse cultures, histories, and literatures of South Asia. There is this great initiative, Harvard Tamil Chair. They're trying to set up a Tamil research study in Harvard. There are $6 million required. So far, they have raised up to
I'll give you whatever I can.
2 million. So by being a celebrity and knowing the value of Tamil literature and language, would you vouch for this cause? And today, would you pledge and extend your support and requesting everyone for this noble cause?
See, I knew this whole subject itself, the topic, Ask Maddie Anything, was trouble. But yes, yeah, to answer your question, yes, of course I will support it. There is no reason why anybody who will not support something like this. Tamil is one of the oldest languages in the world. It's been proven many times. that half the philosophy is explained in Tamil has been modified over and over again, owned by different civilizations and re-quoted as their own. But absolutely, I think if you're able to get an insight into the Tamilians, the South Asian community through this language, then by all means you have my wholehearted support, and I will do what I can to help you get that 6 million.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So on that note, we're actually out of time for today, but we'll
Hey,
be
I
back
get 10 minutes
tomorrow.
more. Okay, hang on. Yeah, see? Yeah, you know, we started late thanks to Mr. Pawan Kumar.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very quick question. Your statements about the railways brought back memories of traveling from Dadar TT to Churchgate. So that was very evocative. Just following up on a question I had a chance to ask Mr. Rajat Sharma and earlier, where when I asked him, I said, you know, I find it disheartening that there's a real lack of freedom of speech, particularly freedom after speech. And he responded by saying that he thought there was plenty of freedom of speech. In a recent incident, Sanjay Leela Bhansali was roughed up and his set was broken because there were elements who thought that in his movie Padmavati, he was going to have a romantic dream sequence between Alauddin Khilji and Padmavati. And I would ask you, even if he had chosen to fictionalize and take some artistic license, should he, a creator, a powerhouse like Bhansali, have the right to introduce things in his movies that are not historically true, but add to the creative thrust of his film? Wouldn't that be an exercise of freedom of speech? And do you think, what are your views on the fact that he was silenced and there's been such an outcry against his film, really focusing on the freedom of speech issue underlying that incident? Thank you.
So, answering your question, what happened to Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali? I don't advocate at all. I totally condemn it, because if you have a point of view, you should put it across non-violently. Taking a bunch of goons there and physically beating him up or manhandling him is not the solution. It's never going to yield a constructive or a positive dialogue between the two parties. Having said that, we are a country, sir. We should know when freedom of speech is also responsible freedom of speech. Okay, just merely because I want to say anything that I want to does not allow me to say something infuriating that would actually challenge the stability of the society around me. Having said that, I'm not saying Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali was trying to say that. I'm just saying with every culture, the freedom has a different definition. And one has to be sensitive towards that. And I think, by and large, mixing this up is what is causing the imbalance. And I would like to tell you in detail about what I think as far as this is concerned. But we are a very emotional society. You can't help it. You saw how lovingly Mr. Pawan Kalyan was received today. That's how we are. That's how we do it. There is passion in how we treat our leaders. There is passion involved in everything that you do as a South Indian. You just have to be sensitive to that. I have seen many instances of communal violence where I was born and brought up. The Hindu-Muslim fights that happened, the murders that happened because of, in the name of, religion. And it all started because somebody thought it was smart enough to exercise a freedom of speech at the wrong time. That I don't advocate. I know you have the right, but say it properly. I'm not referring this to Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali. Even as film actors, for instance, when we do films in Tamil, I'll give you a big example. When we do films in Tamil, we can't name political parties. There are only two. So I can't, in Malayalam, there is a film where the guy says, you're part of the Congress and you guys did so and so for so many years. That was allowed. In Tamil Nadu, I can't do that. It will merely instigate a whole new set of problems at the cost of me making a movie. Similarly, in Tamil industry, I don't know how many of you all watch Tamil films here. How many of you all? Yeah, okay. So tell me if you agree with me. In Tamil cinemas, it's really okay for you to condemn women and sing the kind of songs that they do, demeaning them, saying, yeah, you always break guys' heart, you guys want everything wrong, and kind of just saying that, boys are being victimized is a very predominant feeling in Tamil cinema. You'll never see a film like that happen in Hindi, which is successful. It's culturally totally different. But then if you address it at the wrong time, it becomes a problem. So I just think, coming back to your original question, I totally disagree the way he was treated, and he should be given the freedom of, the worst part was, nobody really knows what the script is. It was assumed, it was imagined, and it is an action was taken on it, which is even more irresponsible than the freedom of speech.
Should we take a one?
Say that again? Yeah, we have how many minutes now? Say that again?
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, Maddie. So my last question, hi everybody, my name is Sumain Solanki and I am from Delhi. And I am not very aware about Jallikattu and all that, and you are a part of PETA as well. And then there are so many celebrities who are a part of PETA. And irony of this all that is that we are the country that we are #1 in the world in the beef exports.
I can't hear you, sorry.
We are the country in #1 in the world in beef export.
Okay.
So what PETA is doing and what other activists are doing for this concern, and they are behind the Jallikattu and other different festivals, all that.
So you have a very valid question, brother, but I'm not the one to answer that. In the sense that I'm not part of PETA in that sense. I'm advocating the cause of vegetarianism and humane treatment to animals. But the question that you're asking me has such an amazing backstory to it that we have to understand that we are responsible for what is happening. When the Holstein cows were found to be producing carcinogenic milk in New Zealand and Australia, and they got rid of their Jersey cows because of that, and they found out that, do you know the history behind the cows? So basically, there was surplus of these cows that had in Europe, where they were producing 80 liters of milk instead of the 21 liters of Jersey cows and 8 liters of the Desi Sehwal cows and all the cows that we had. So those cows were imported to India thinking that's the best thing to do to solve the milk shortage problem that we were having in India, not realizing that milk had the worst protein possible, and that's the reason why diabetes became such a big issue in India, where type 2 diabetes, type 1, all sorts of diseases. So now it was a blind, non-research decision taken by the government to say, hey, let's get these cows in, and then they realized much later. So the export of the cows was the biggest tragedy, because the best cows that we had, we exported to Brazil. And they have our Desi cows right now, and they have specialized that cow, and now we have to pay through our nose for the sperm of those cows to impregnate our cows. That is the sad part of the story. Beef export is, I'm sorry, look at me, man, I'm an actor. What are you asking me these questions for? I'm just saying that I have no information on the beef export. I don't even eat it, and I'm against it. So here's the best part: don't have beef. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you.
Let's move on over there, because
0 minutes, huh? Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
One more question.
How does it feel to elope with brides in movies? That is wrong on so many levels, brother. Whose bride are you talking about? My bride? No, but I'm sorry. I have to, before I can answer that question, I have to understand. Are you asking me personally how it is to elope with bride? It's stupid, it's exciting, and it's not advisable. Yes, last question, I believe. Yes.
I'm a filmmaking student from NYU. Vanakkam, this is the only Tamil word I knew. My question to you is, the Bollywood always accepts South Indian actresses with open arms, be it Vaijayanti Mala or Sridevi, whereas it really accommodates male stars. You have achieved in pan-India appeal. Why don't the North Indians don't accept the male stars from South of India?
Okay, so the question is, I have managed to do Tamil films and Hindi films and be accepted. Why don't Hindi people accept other South Indian actors? Is that what you're saying?
The male stars.
Sorry?
The male superstars.
The male superstars. See, Chief, watching a movie is not a duty. It's supposed to be an entertainment, right? So when you go to see a movie and you have somebody trying to portray a Hindi guy or a Punjabi guy or a Marathi guy, they want to assume that you're one of that. But if your Hindi is not as it should sound, being part of that part of India, then there's a disconnect that happens. Nobody goes out saying, I won't accept Madhavan, I won't accept Ajit, I won't accept Kalyan sir or whoever it is that you're talking about. It's just that they want to go to this movie, they want to be convinced that it is right, it is justified, it is aspirational, and it's entertaining. Once it is that, everybody is accepted. The girls didn't portray to be that. They were beautiful. Their job was to entice, which they did very well. And they were very intelligent women. I can tell you personally that I know all the ladies that you talked about, and personally, they are extremely well-read and extremely educated. But their ability to make the least common man watching that film feel like he's ready to give their life up to protect this lady. Agar Madhuri ji se koi meri wife hoti, I'll protect them. Is the vulnerability that they're able to bring on the screen. If you're able to do that, it's entertaining enough. So they're accepted. It's not that somebody has got an agenda where they go to say, we won't accept Bengali actors, we won't accept South Indian actors. There is no agenda like that.
Hello, Madhavan. Before we start, you support politics. What is your opinion about Janasena, Pawan sirs?
I'd like you to just make some closing remarks.
No, even last time also I didn't get a chance.
Sorry, sir?
I'm asking, do you believe in politics?
I am as far removed from it.
So what about Janasena? What is your opinion on Janasena?
I don't have one.
No, it's not yours. It's not yours. Pawan sir.
Sir?
Pawan sirs.
Pawan sir is an extraordinary actor.
Yeah.
And, by aggressively asking a question, do not expect...
aggressive.
But you are being aggressive. So let me just tell you this.
Because I was in frustration because I didn't get a chance. Not aggressive on you.
So I know you're feeling frustrated. I do, man. I wanted to wish and shake his hands as well. But I'm not taking my frustration out at you. Yeah. So... you know what? I'm still going to be giving you... Give us 2 minutes, my friend. Thank you. We will all be happy and loving right now. I will take it from you after the show.
Please.
That's still a threat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was lovely having you here. And I'm sure we'll continue the conversation tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Can you take a